Hey Brian, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Julie. How are you doing?
Very good. Are you in the jolly mood?
Well, I'm kind of fat, so my belly's juggling a little bit from all this holiday food, and I think my cheeks are kind of rosy because we just got back from vacation. So yes, I'm basically Santa Claus right now.
Only 2 more weeks until diet
Oh yeah,
starts.
I've heard that one before.
Very good. So I have some questions for you today. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. So it's the end of the year, and taxes are due. We're talking about property
Oh
taxes.
yeah,
And especially here in Palm Beach County, we pay them in arrears, which means the bill comes out in November for the current year. So
yep.
right now, people are paying their 2022 taxes. So, in the spirit of that, I wanted to ask you. Some people wonder, and they always are asking us when they're looking at their value. There is something that's the tax assessors assess value, and then it's where you have a fair market value. So, what's the
hmm
difference between one and the other when
Well,
people
let me
are
just
looking at their value?
when people are looking about what's the difference between the two. Let me just say this: like one of the beautiful things about Florida is the tax situation here, because remember we have zero income tax from the state of Florida, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And even our real estate taxes, like I'm from the Northeast, and they tax everything. They tax the income and everything you can think of. And their real estate taxes are higher than ours. And they tax other things as well. So thankfully we're here in that. But your question specifically was what's the difference between the tax assessor's valuation and the fair market value? Excuse me. Well, the tax assessor's valuation is whatever random methodology they use to derive the value. Whenever you sell your house, I believe that that is their new assessed value that year. So be aware of that, right? Um, and the reason that the assessed values can really change is if you've owned your house for a long period of time, then they have whatever system or
Formula.
formula, algorithm that they use to determine the value. And as long as the value is lower than the market value, nobody fights it. Because if that's what your taxes are assessed on, nobody's calling up the assessor to complain that the valuation is lower. So they do tend, on average, to be lower than what the real market value is. And the reality of it is, any assessment, whether it be the tax assessor's office, whether it be an appraiser, whether it be my personal assessment on a property, they're just a matter of opinion. And ultimately, you really never know precisely what a house is worth until you're on the market or whatever, and you're able to really see how the market reacts to it and see what buyers are truly willing to pay at that moment. So even in the best case scenario, it's still an estimate, it's still not precise. But generally speaking, that's why there's a disparity between the two. It's because their system isn't perfect, nobody's is, and all of the taxpayer base prefers their values to be low, so nobody complains. Now, if the value's high, I'm sure that they get a lot of calls because people are now paying a higher assessed value, a higher tax based on the assessed value, and so I'm sure people complain. And
Especially, I was gonna say, in an appreciated market, market value is going up and up and up every year because people are paying more and more money for the properties. But the tax assessor might not necessarily be reevaluating everybody's assessed value every year. So that's where the lagging comes from. And some people don't want to say anything because they rather pay the lower taxes. But the opposite is also true. In a declining market, the tax assessor's valuation might actually be higher than what someone will pay for your property. And that's when you get a lot of people calling the tax assessors to get a reevaluation because you want to lower your
well,
taxes.
watch out, we might be getting there. So we'll see.
Very good.
Yeah.
And today, I believe some inflation numbers came out. What are your thoughts on the current economy and real estate marketing
Well,
as a whole?
we are at a fantastic inflation level now. It's only a cool 7.1% year over year. So you're only paying 7% more now instead of 8 or 9 or whatever it's been recently. So the market reacted. Today happens to be the day that they released the CPI numbers for the month of, or in the December meeting, if you will. And so they came in better than previous months comparatively. And so the markets are reacting really well today. In other words, the stock market's up and everything else. The reason that the markets are up is because they think that this is an indication that the Federal Reserve might start to cool down on raising interest rates, which we've been feeling. They raised interest rates all year long for the most part, and the mortgage rates went over 7% recently. They were at 3% not even 12 months ago. So that is a massive increase in less than a year. and that it's unlikely that's going to change dramatically. But what this signals is that the rate of increase might be slowing, and also we have seen mortgage rates dip a little bit in recent history. We haven't really seen a corresponding bounce in real estate activity because of that, which is mildly concerning. But this is good news that it's possible that inflation might be cooling off, and the Federal Reserve might, at least slow down the rate of increase on those interest rates. So we're watching that incredibly carefully, and it's still likely that rates are not going to go down anytime soon to any significant degree. If anything, they're probably going to continue to climb up a little bit. I continue to believe that if you're planning on transacting in real estate, now is still an excellent time. I think that it's very possible the next year or two may be challenging. We'll see what happens, but at least the inflation's going down, which is a positive sign in general. So
very good. That's all we have for you today.
All right, and Julie is, we have a behind the scenes debate about what we're going to eat for, our holiday. We always do a big holiday dinner, and so Julie, I forget what do we normally eat? What do we normally do?
Our standard is prime rib.
So if I don't make prime rib, I'm probably not going to make it through the holidays because
you get coal for Christmas.
Because Julie will not be happy with me. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be eating prime rib, which is one of our favorite things. So,
yes, we will.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.